Hi everyone, this is Russell Medley and this is my EDL 853 case study. In this case study, we look at some of the different facts. Nottingham High School is the school mentioned and it's in the Dover School District. This district is made up of 3,200 students. It has 6 elementary buildings, 2 middle schools, and 1 high school. Most of the buildings have underwent projects to accommodate students with disabilities. However, 25% of the high school has not been updated since it's first been built. Dr. Harvey is the superintendent of Dover School District. He seems to have a great relationship with the staff and students and all the stakeholders involved with the school. The school district has excellent programs and services that are provided to its students, and there seems to be a lot or great community support from everyone in the community. And it's mentioned how there's a successful football team that a lot of the community and parents like to gather at to support the football team. We also look at Miguel Hernandez and his family, who recently moved to Dover within the past few years. Miguel is actually a very successful quarterback and is the quarterback for this football team as they're advancing in the playoffs. He ends up throwing a game-winning touchdown, but on a hit, he gets tackled and rushed to a hospital with an injury. And come to find out, he's been paralyzed from the waist down. Miguel is returning to school, but he is in the need or use of a wheelchair. Ms. Gusman, the counselor, meets with Miguel to discuss a change to his schedule based on one of the rooms that he's wanting to take biology in is not wheelchair accessible. And so she's trying to find a class for him to take that would still meet the graduation requirement. However, the class that she's wanting to put him in would not count towards the college prep course that he would need for the university that he's wanting to attend after high school. So Miguel goes home and tells his parents about these changes, and the mother is upset about the changes and the lack of communication from the school. Mr. Hernandez shows up with a lawyer, Mr. Carey, and he brings up the fact that Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 and FAPE are not being followed. And so this is where Mia, as a building principal, is first being kind of made aware of the situation. So first, we look at the legal or ethical issues in this case study. First and foremost, Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act prohibits discrimination on the basis of a disability. And so here the school is not in compliance because they are kind of discriminating against Miguel, removing him from this class just because the room itself is not wheelchair accessible. So he's not getting the same opportunities as his peers because of this disability. Also, with the Individuals with Disability Education Act ensures all students receive a free, appropriate public education, also known as FAPE. The school is not in compliance because they're removing him from a class due to the setup of the accessibility of that class. Also, the Americans with Disabilities Act also says that schools cannot discriminate against individuals because of a disability. And obviously, it's kind of common sense too that this is an unethical practice because it's not giving all students equal opportunities. And so, if this is a college prep course, he should kind of have the same rights as his able peers and be able to have those opportunities as well. So we've taken in all the information and we kind of summarize this into kind of what is happening. So Miguel was injured in a game that made it necessary for him to be in a wheelchair returning to school. Upon return, he was removed from a college prep biology class due to the fact that the class wasn't a part of the building that was not wheelchair accessible. The family is now not pleased and have sought legal counsel who has informed them that they are not following Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. So now we look at what is known in this case study. So as far as the people, we know Dr. Harvey, who's the superintendent of schools. He has great relationships with the school stakeholders. The principal, myself in this case study, is who the parents have now contacted for a meeting after learning about the change in his schedule. Miguel Hernandez is the successful student athlete who was injured in the football game, now in a wheelchair, and is wanting to take a college prep class for college. Mr. and Mrs. Hernandez's parents and are upset about the decision about removing him from the class. Ms. Guzman is the counselor who made the schedule change, and Mr. Carey is also the family lawyer. The place we know is Nottingham School District or Nottingham High School in the Dover School District, and we know that 25% of the building is not handicap accessible. The Dover District is made up of 6 elementary, 2 middle schools, and 1 high school. The community itself is very supportive. They, like I said, come together on Friday nights for the successful football team. And also the current biology class is not wheelchair accessible. And then as far as the programs, things that we're thinking about is the Rehabilitation Act and all the policies that go with that. The college prep biology class is very important in this case study as well. And then the alternative science class that Ms. Guzman is going to place Miguel in, that still meets the graduation requirement, but does not apply towards the college prep. Some of the unknown is Ms. Guzman's communication with the admin in making this decision and what her knowledge of FAPE is. We don't know really much mention on Dr. Harvey and his involvement in this process. The principal and myself, not knowing and not knowing kind of what my involvement is in this process, or if there's any communication done with me prior to this decision being made. As far as the place, we're not familiar necessarily with what parts of the building did not meet code to accommodate the students with the disabilities. Obviously, this biology class is one of them, but we don't really know as far as that 25% what else would not be included in this. And then we also don't know for what purposes the relocatable trailers were used. Those were mentioned early in the case study, just with the excessive class sizes and things like that, but we don't really know what exactly those are used for. Different programs, we don't know anything about a 504 planner or if there was discussion in creating one in his return to school. And then we also don't know who else was aware of the schedule change just besides the counselor herself. So in reviewing and prioritizing the information, we understand that he was denied access because he is in a wheelchair, and that removing him from this college prep class may impact his college plans. I believe the university that he was wanting to attend, he had to have this prereq done before he could be accepted in. The situation may damage the reputation of the high school if they are not following FAPE. The staff may be put in a tough situation, having to shuffle around to accommodate and get him in a classroom with his peers. And then, as far as the administration and counselor goes, there could be legal implications regarding FAPE that could result in various consequences. So, looking at some of the different options and consequences, first of all, I could do nothing as a school principal, and we would just continue on making the decision, trying to go with Miss Guzman and getting him in that class where at least he's getting that graduation requirement. Obviously, then I'm not following the federal policies, and then he's being denied the ability to take that college prep class. We could move the biology class to an accessible area, but then this would be an inconvenience to staff and students having to move around, especially if it's kind of right before or in the middle of a semester. We could delay the biology class to next semester to allow time to find a more accessible environment, but then this might cause an inconvenience to Miguel and his plans as he's finishing school. We could get construction done to make all the high school up to code, but then that, of course, will take money and time to make this happen in a reasonable manner. And then the online class that would count toward, we could put him in an online class that would count towards the college prep, but then he's not with his peers or granted the same rights as his peers. So in evaluating these options and doing nothing, it supports the counselor, it still meets the graduation requirements, and then of course we don't have the shuffling of the current setup. However, we're not following the legal policies, could potentially put ourselves in ways of lawsuits. He's being separated from his peers and in a way being discriminated because of his ability. If we move the biology class to an accessible area, Miguel is able to attend with his peers and get college prep class credit, and the school is following FAPE. But this could create confusion and more work for the staff and students and having to move around. You could delay Miguel taking this class until the next semester. This would allow the school to figure out how to best meet Miguel's needs. Miguel would still be able to take the class he wants or needs, and then there's no immediate shuffling, and it kind of gives staff a heads up and time to prepare to move if necessary. However, this may not be work well with Miguel's schedule and kind of what he's trying to finish up with. And also, we're still really not following FAPE here if he's not being treated equally where his needs are being immediately met. There could be construction on the building to fix the areas that aren't up to code. This would allow for the whole school to be set up to code and be able to meet the needs of all students. However, this of course takes time, money, and it will not quickly address the needs of Miguel. The online class that would meet the graduation requirements as well as the college prep requirements, he'd still be able to get the high school college credits he needs. The school would have to cover the cost for the online program since they can't provide the FAPE. And then as far as the cons, though, Miguel would not be with his peers and receiving an equal opportunity to learn alongside his peers. So my choice as a building leader, I first and foremost must be an advocate for my students and ensure that they have equitable access to resources and opportunities to best support their learning. I would meet with Ms. Gussman and explain the possible legal repercussions of the decision. I would meet with the staff and explain the situation. I would move the biology class to a room that is accessible to all students. And then I would assist, because obviously, not everyone's going to be happy with this. So I would assist in making the transition as easy as possible. I would then make sure a 504 plan is started on Miguel, and I would make it a high priority to be an advocate for using and finding ways and budgets and things to help fix up the areas that aren't up to code, not only in our building, but in the district as a whole. And so finally, implementing these decisions. First and foremost, I think it's important that as a school and admin, with our superintendent counselor, that we're meeting and discussing the FAPE policies and what our school's responsibilities are with FAPE and things like that. Um, like these changes that were mentioned right away by the counselor, there needs to be prior written with any changes happening to Miguel's schedule. And so having the parents as part of this decision-making team and getting their input would be very important before just making a quick decision. We would meet with the Hernandez family and lawyer if necessary to review the FAPE policies and then start rolling on a 504 plan and getting, like I said, input and discussion on the best way that we can meet his needs. I think it's also important to meet with the staff who will be needing to change locations, and then, like I said, assist in any way just to make the transition a lot easier. It's important to just, as a building principal as well, to review FAPE process for all of the building to ensure students' needs are being met. And then I would also monitor the progress of the situation and just keep in contact with any key stakeholders. And finally, I think it's important that as a building leader that I'm an advocate to my superintendent, the Board of Education, all the stakeholders that help make these decisions in budgeting for our updates to make the full building up to code. That way, we're meeting the students of or meeting the needs of all of our students. Thank you.